Hi, everybody. Dr. Carolyn Ross here, and I'm going to be talking about healing food trauma in order to make peace with food. So let's get started. I really encourage you to ask yourself what kind of food trauma you've experienced in your life. For example, on a daily basis, I hear my patients talk about um, for example, being told that they have to exercise before they can have dessert as a child, or as a child, watching their siblings being given dessert, but they've been given a quote unquote diet dessert. All of these things and more I hear from patients in the Anchor program. And it's amazing how hurtful those situations can be. And what's amazing is how long they can stick with you in your life. So make a list of those and then use some of the techniques that have been given to you for the last 3 weeks. At the end of every one of the food freedom challenges, you've been given a tip or a specific behavior that you can activity that you can do to help you make peace with food. Oops, a little too jumpy here. So I mentioned to you that 1 week we covered family food rules, and some of those are things like many of us were told, clean your plate before you can have dessert. People in China or Africa or somewhere are starving, so you've got to make sure you eat everything. You can't get a snack unless you exercise, or you've been deprived of treats because of your perceived size or how much you're eating. The second one is all of the trauma that's related to being put on diets or dieting trauma. And as children, I've had patients who've told me that as early as 5 years old, they were put on a diet or taken to Weight Watchers along with their mother or father. Maybe their pediatrician told them or told your parent that you were too large and you needed to lose weight. And there's just a really negative effect of frequent yo-yo dieting on your physical health and well-being, not to mention on your mental health. Being told that something's wrong with your body from a young age is extremely traumatic. As well, children as well as adults are exposed to weight stigma, made to feel that they don't even deserve to eat because they're too large. Maybe bullied because of your size, or maybe you've experienced weight stigma in other areas of your life. And then finally, food obsessions that come from some of this shaming and this deprivation of food from an early age can lead you to not even trust yourself to make food decisions. You don't trust yourself around food, and you may feel trapped in your relationship with food and ashamed about your inability to quote unquote fix this problem. And that shame can last you for a lifetime. So as I said, these issues often start when you're younger. And I know many parents have said to me, well, I'm just trying to help my daughter or son. I don't want them to be fat because they'll be teased and bullied. But the bottom line is children's bodies are always changing. And when you intervene to quote unquote help your child, you are really hijacking their metabolism, their mental health and well-being, and the potential that they could live a normal life and have a normal relationship with food and with their bodies. So you cannot know what your child's body will look like as an adult by looking at them as a child. It's very important for you, if you yourself as a parent have struggled with your weight, to not comment about your body and your weight in front of your children, and to try to make mealtime a happy and enjoyable time, not a time where a child can be shamed because of their size. Because what happens in childhood really does stay into adulthood. So, food trauma is something that may have happened to you. And as a child, we don't have a lot of resources to figure out, what's going on and why are we feeling hurt or shamed, or what should we do about it if we feel hurt or shamed. So when something like that happens to you, the most common response is, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me that I'm not like my brother and sister who are allowed to eat dessert or to eat what they want, but I'm only allowed to eat quote unquote diet foods? What's wrong with me that my mother is unhappy with my body, that my father is unhappy with how I look? So when that happens as a child, unconsciously, we do whatever we can to survive. And usually that leads to the development of what we call negative core beliefs that I'm going to talk about in a minute. And also, as a child, we use whatever we can to survive in terms of coping with the pain and discomfort that we're experiencing. And often the only thing available is food. So we use food for comfort and for self-soothing, which helps us deal with what happened as a child, but then as adults can make for a very disordered relationship with food and our bodies. So remember, something happened. You had childhood food trauma, and then you said to yourself, what's wrong with me? And then this statement led to unconscious core beliefs that then are the little voice in the back of your mind that are constantly telling you these negative things, such as, something's wrong with me, I'm a failure, I'm worthless, I'm unattractive, I am always wrong, and I'm a bad person, or I'm unlovable, I don't matter, I'm unwanted, I don't fit in anywhere. Or it may be the sense of responsibility of, I can't ask for help. My needs are never going to be met. So I can't trust others to meet my needs. I have to do everything for myself. Or it can turn in the opposite way to a sense of entitlement of other people should satisfy my needs, or others don't deserve good things. A sense of abandonment is very common, which is, I'm not as good as others. People will leave me if I set boundaries or if I take care of myself. And then finally, the sense of helplessness, which is very common. A sense of, I'm weak, I'm a loser, I'm unsuccessful, I'm out of control is a big one around food. Or I just can't handle anything and I can't change. So these negative core beliefs are in the background, constantly egging us on to have another binge because they cause so much pain. As you know, feeling unworthy or feeling like you're a failure is a source of an immense amount of suffering, particularly to people who have had food trauma as children. So what do we need to do about that? It's really important in terms of making peace with food to recognize that the pain you experienced was really not about food. It was about other people's perceptions. It was about family food rules. It was about maybe your parents' own negative relationship with food or their own childhood trauma or food trauma. But it's not about the food, it's about how you use the food. For many of us who have struggled with food and body image issues, we think of food as a solution to our pain, when in fact, it's not the solution. It's just a clue that we are in pain. We're using food as a survival tool to cope with the pain. So what do we need to do? Well, the first one is to increase awareness. And in the Anchor program, we use an exercise called Who's Driving the Bus? And what that means is when you go for your next binge, is it your younger self who was traumatized, who is in the driver's seat? Or is it your adult self? Most often, it is your younger self. And therefore, we have to have, first of all, some way of connecting to that younger part of ourselves and reassuring him or her that we're in the driver's seat now as the adult and we can make different choices. We don't have to always use food as a default mechanism to deal with our pain or discomfort or loneliness or fear. So if you just use one question before your binge and ask yourself, how old am I feeling right now? You may get an answer like 9 years old or 11 years old. And if it is your younger self, then connect with that part of yourself and give reassurance. We can do different. I'm in charge. I'm the adult. There's nothing wrong with you. Whatever reassurance that your younger self needs. The second thing that's really important is to really practice self-compassion and remind yourself that whatever happened to you, you did the best that you could. And therefore, there's no need to shame yourself or to feel guilty, feel like a failure, and remind yourself that you're a work in progress. This doesn't have to be the last word on your relationship with food. And then finally, there are many practices and rituals and skills that you can learn in terms of on a daily basis, being able to manage your emotions differently without using food. So I'm going to give you an example of one of those, which is the loving kindness meditation. I won't do the full meditation right now. We don't have time, but I will give you a link to the full meditation so that you can listen to that at home and practice that as a ritual on a daily basis. So if you have the opportunity, if you're in the right place, put your feet flat on the floor, your hands in your lap. Take a big deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Another deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And we're going to begin again by keeping yourself in your thoughts. Breathe gently and recite inwardly the following traditional phrases directed to your own well-being. You begin with yourself because without loving yourself, it's impossible to love others. So again, take a deep breath and then recite inwardly, may I be filled with loving kindness. May I be safe from inner and outer dangers. May I be well in body and mind. May I be at ease and happy. Once again, may I be filled with loving kindness. May I be safe from inner and outer dangers. May I be well in body and mind. And may I be at ease and happy. Take a deep breath, and now you can open your eyes whenever you're ready. I hope this has been helpful, and I encourage you to go back over the previous 3 episodes of the Food Freedom Challenge and listen to those and take the tips and use those in your life. I want to also remind you that if you want to explore your relationship with food further, I offer a free consult to talk about your own individual food and body image issues, and the link to that is in the notes below. Don't forget to download your full loving kindness meditation, and I look forward to talking with you next time. Thank you.